Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Sunday, March 24th. So I thought today we would kind of do a what's the best mower out there, and the big burning question is a mower from one of your big box stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, the same, better, worse than what you would get from your local dealer. So stay tuned. Alright, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel. My name is Eric. I do the weekday show Monday through Friday, and then I do some videos on the weekends, and I put out some repair videos throughout the week. Today we're going to talk about, is it better to buy from a local dealer or a big box store, and what is the difference? That's the big burning question I get all the time. And since I am not a carrying dealer, people seem to feel more comfortable asking me. So the reason I'm not a carrying dealer is I can't compete on the same level as the big box stores. And the bigger reason, I don't want to carry a lot of debt. And when you're floor planning because if you want to carry and get funded, GE normally is the credit line out there for most of your big lines, your manufacturers. It used to be, if you were let's say a Husqvarna dealer, Husqvarna would set you up with X number of riders, zero turns, chainsaws, weed eaters, walk behind trimmers, And as you sold, they would either replace or you could continue until you sold out, right? And if it didn't sell, you weren't stuck with it. Nowadays, almost all of them, I can't think of one that doesn't do it anymore. They want you to go through GE credit. And what's the difference between the way they used to do it and GE credit? Well, GE credit says you own them. If you don't sell them, you still are responsible for that debt. So if you sit on half the models because you didn't sell out last year, you still have that debt coming forward. Okay. So that's the biggest reason I don't carry. I don't floor plan. Is it a bad thing? No. If you're in an area where you sell a lot of units and you have very little carryovers, absolutely not. It'd be the best thing for you if you're in that area highly populated. But that still brings us back to the burning question. What is the difference? And is there any difference? Some people will say no, but there is a difference. Now, what ends up happening is a lot of your big box stores like Tractor Supply, Lowe's, Home Depot, they get what I call the low-end model of each group. And they want that low-end model of each group. And when I say group, the low-end model of the rider, the low-end model of the zero turn, etc., etc., etc. I, as a dealer, cannot buy that same unit, even though I may be a dealer for Cub Cadet, which I am. I can't get that same model that Tractor Supply has, or I think Home Depot. See, the thing is, is we first need to know who's manufacturing what. MTD is doing the Troy-Bilts, Cub Cadets, and the Craftsman. John Deere is still doing their own John Deere mowers, but their John Deere motors are actually Briggs or Kawasaki. Your Toros and your X-Marks are the same. Same manufacturer, just a different color, different stickers, same quality. X-Mark, always been really good quality. Toro, same thing. Sometimes you get what you pay for. But how do you know which one is the right one for you when you're out shopping, right? And I always say, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you've got a 1/4 acre yard, a 60-inch zero turn is probably not the one you need. Maybe the one you want if you're a guy, bigger is better. But in all honesty, what the heck would you get something like that for? Big box stores don't give you the service, at least that I know of, that your local dealer does. And I'm not saying all local dealers do this, because I've known of dealers that just would sell you and they're in a hurry just to get you out the door. But the majority of your dealers that are carrying umpteen models instead of just the low ends, because they can't get what the big box stores get. They have to take that next step. It's a little better quality. Is with a dealer, just like if you come to my place and you bought something new from me, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to register it for you. I'm going to make sure the warranty, so that's all in place. I am going to talk to you about the different models and try to fit you to the unit instead of just trying to fit you to how much money I'm going to make. Again, some dealers are not like this, but the majority are. They're not looking at cost point. They're looking at having a sale and a return customer whenever that customer needs something from them. And if you are the type of dealership that you have salespeople that are trying to push your customers into the high-end stuff versus what they need, you may want to take a good look at it, because you're not gaining return customers. In the end, you may get a one hit and cash, but that may be it, because it may be not even what they really wanted. It would have been best for them. But I'm going to show you the different models. I'm going to ask you, what are you trying to accomplish with it? How big is your yard? And that goes for snow blowers too. How big an area are you working in? And the other thing I ask is, what's your budget? You don't ask what your budget is from the get-go. Some do. I ask it along the conversation as it's going, because I want to know what my customer is comfortable in spending. And the tendency they push you to, tendency with some of the bigger dealers is they'll push you towards the most expensive one if they think you can get the credit to get it. So you have to be careful. It's like autos, car salesmen. Some are good, some are bad. But the most part, your local dealer is going to try to fit you to your needs, to what your budget is. And we're going to show you how it runs, operates, so that when you leave the store, the only time I should see you again is if, like with a chainsaw, is when you're coming back and you're buying 50-to-1 mix, bottles for your 2.5 gallon can. The last thing I want to find out is that you got hurt with it because you were using it improperly. So that goes to your smaller dealers. The smaller dealers will take the time to show you how to use the stuff. So when it comes to buying, if you're only going to save $10, $15 to go to a big box over your local dealer, you may want to reconsider that. Because here's the other drawback, is most of your big boxes do not warranty their stuff. If you go to Tractor Supply, they have a slide-in piece of paper. It's just made out of like cardboard, and it says important across it. Do not come back to the store if you have problems. Call this number and we will get you to your local warranty shop, which is normally who? It's your local dealer that you, for $10 less, you went with Tractor Supply versus buying it from his lineup. Here's what's going to happen. This is the skivvy, and I don't blame a lot of the dealers for this that are selling whole goods. Their customers are going to come first, always. So if you decide to buy it from that big box store and now you're having problems with it, when you take it to a serviceable dealer warranty shop, it may be a long wait. He's going to take care of whoever he has that has bought from him and make sure that they're not having any problems because he wants to return business. You, on the other hand, you've already showed him $10 is $10, and you'll go save the $10, and now you're going to wait months sometimes to get your unit back. Now, like with your John Deere, your local dealership and your big box. Your big box runs with the, I call the S series. It'll start with an S, S100s, you know. Whereas you will not find that model on a John Deere dealership's property. They can't, because the big box stores have made a deal with the manufacturers on their particular model and their price point. They know the bulk of the customers that come to them, price is the big thing and where to save money. Now, that's where I developed my niche, and maybe a couple of you guys out there might think the same thing if you're getting into the business. Is instead of competing with the big box stores, I opted to tell them, look, I know what goes on with the local dealers, that their stuff is going to come first, their customers. I am a non-stocking dealer, and you will be my first customer versus waiting in line. And I can tell you from experience, the stuff that I see come through the door for warranty, probably 90-95% of it is not warranted. It's stupidity. It's something failed along the lines. And when I say something failed, it means, and as I said, a lot of your small dealers, you may run into that, but I very rarely see it with them, is the stuff that I'm saying, the people were never showed how to correctly use it, how to correctly mix gas. You wouldn't believe how many trimmers and chainsaws came in that were two-stroke, that they dumped straight gas in and just seized them up. And then they wanted me to fix it for them. Whereas a local dealer, they're going to walk you out. And good chances are, a couple of them here locally, that, like with the chainsaws, they burn wood throughout the winter to help with the heating costs. So they'll get a load of logs put out on a landing next to their shop, and they will physically take the customer out, and they'll start from start to finish. This is how you mix your gas. This is how you check. This is the bar oil you should be using in the summer. This is the bar oil you should be using in the winter. A lot of times they recommend their brand of two-stroke mix. Chaps that you should be wearing, protective safety gear, eyewear. And then they will show you how to use it. And then it's twofold because you're cutting their firewood. But they're showing you how and everything about it. The stuff I see from the big box stores, no. They're not being showed anything. All they are is a sale, a commission, and out the door they go. Now, are all the big box stores culprits to this? No. I know of a couple of the Tractor Supply locally that I've talked with years ago that you need to get somebody in there that knows what your product is and what needs to go with it, what needs to be told to the customer when they're buying that. You need 50-to-1 mix. This is how you operate it. Versus here is the manual, figure it out. So that brings it back to the burning question is, what is the best mower, chainsaw out there, and is it better to buy from your local dealer versus a big box? You can debate this all you want. What I can tell you is it's all in how you take care of it. It's all in the sale of teaching you how to care for it in such a way that you're not going to have problems. Now, if you take care of things, a John Deere from a big box, the S series, will probably last you 8 to 10 years. But if you're not one to take care of stuff and not pay attention to what the heck you're doing and service it regularly, not so much. I mean, Claude went out and he bought one from, I think, Lowell's, a John Deere. And he paid considerably less than the first model he bought it at the dealership with John Deere. And I think it was like almost a $900 difference. Wasn't the same model, wasn't the same apple for apple, but it was at a price point that Claude felt comfortable in spending. But he takes very good care of his stuff. He stays on top of it. He blows his deck off every time he mows, and I assume he probably hooks the washer hose up to where you can get your deck cleaned. He tends to things. He pays attention to what the heck he's doing and is serviced regularly. It will last him a long time. Me, I've got a zero turn. I've got a John Deere, made by John Deere, and she's built tough. And it's going on almost 20 years old, and it's still running strong. I'm the second owner. Actually, I'm the third owner of this mower, and I've had it for at least 12 years. And I mean, I use it just like a farmer. I buy it to last. I buy it to use it, not let it sit there pretty. And I mean, this past year I finally updated my seat because my seat was so full of holes and you get your ass wet when you went to sit on it. So the next question is, what would I buy? What's the best mower out there for a rider? What I'm looking for, whether I'm looking at a local dealer or if I'm looking at a big box, I tend to stay away from the stamp decks. And the stamp decks are just pressed into a mold, and one after another after another. with a big unit comes down and cuts the center holes out, pushes it down, etc., etc. The ones that I like are, you'll see reinforced rods across it. Or you'll see like Exmart and Toro where they actually make their own decks and they weld them together. I want strength in that deck. I want the thickness of the steel in that deck so it's going to last me a long time. And I don't want it to hit a little small stone sticking up and crush my deck in. And a lot of your stamped decks are not made to come up against any resistance, folks. So that's the first thing I would look at. Second thing I would look at is the overall price point of what my budget is. What can I afford? And if the model you're looking at is $200 less with a stamped deck versus $200 more with a reinforced welded deck, spend the $200. Get quality that's going to last. As I said before, MTD owns Craftsman, Cub Cadet, and Troy-Bilt. Troy-Bilt, and when it was on its own, it used to be one of the best units out there. And there's a lot of the old Troy-Bilts still running today. Tillers, mowers. Not so much anymore. MTD uses the Troy-Bilt, especially like the Pony. That's their low-end model. And we've seen a lot of them within the first year, especially with the Kohler single cylinders on, let go and put a hole right into the block. And it's usually just ahead of the driver seat there when you're looking down, where you can't see the physical hole, but there's a hole there where something let loose, whether it's, connecting rod to, it's junk. I would stick with a twin cylinder over a single. I like the Kawasaki and a lot of the V-twin Briggs. Kohlers are good. It all depends upon quality. You're going to pay a little bit more for quality. So your decks, serviceable transmissions, most of those are only on the higher end models. Exmart and Toro already have those in their zero turns and stuff, and they're hydrostatic. As a dealer, we know that if the transmission is starting to get low on fluid, there is a plug on top of the transmission in the back that we can pull out and add fluid, but we also need to have in the shop the serviceable repair plugs to put back in once we top it back off with the needed hydrostatic fluid. Your local, if you're just a person not looking to buy, good chances are you're not going to have access to that. Only a dealer that does repairs, warranty. It's all in what you need. And if you don't know a lot about it, I would tend to push you towards the actual dealers, your hometown dealers. That's what they've done for years, versus going to a big box. I hope that didn't confuse you more than what you did in the beginning, but that's just kind of like the skivvy of it. So on that note, you guys have a great Sunday. 9 degrees out, Mother Nature and that groundhog lied to us.